This is the Viltrox AF 28mm F4.5 chip lens. Now, when Viltrox got in touch with me about reviewing this lens, I had a few questions. First question was, what's the image quality like? Second question was, what can you actually use it for? And the third question was, who's it actually meant for? What photographer would use this type of lens? Find out the answers to these questions in this review. My first impressions when opening the box was how crazy lightweight and thin this lens is. You get your warranty card, code for online user manual, rear lens cap, and on the front you'll have a simple slider lens style lens cap that opens and closes easily via the switch at the bottom of the lens. So that's quite handy if you don't want to faff about putting on and taking off lens caps. It's kind of good in a way because I'm forever losing my lens caps. I noticed there's no external manual focusing ring, but there is a USB-C port at the rear for future firmware updates. It's a full frame or FX lens and weighs just 60 grams. So this is Viltrox's lightest lens in their lineup. Now this is a fixed aperture lens at F4.5 and it doesn't have a filter thread, so you can't mount any filters. Lens construction is 6 elements in 6 groups and minimum focus distance is 35 centimeters. And the price at the time of making this video is $99 US. Okay, so Viltrox have given us a lens that weighs 60 grams. It's got a fixed aperture of f4.5 and look how thin this thing is. That is about 1.5 centimeters thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you some sample stills and video just walking around this location. We'll come back here and we'll talk more about this lens. Okay, to my first question, what's the image quality like out of this lens? Well, surprisingly, it's quite good. You can see from my sample shots in stills and video, this relatively cheap lens takes a decent shot. Also, the eye detect with this lens on my Nikon Z7, it worked fine, as you can see in this example. The autofocus worked nicely, and the fixed 28mm focal length gave me a decent frame, in that it wasn't too wide, but wide enough to get things like landscapes and cityscapes. With the fixed f4.5 aperture, I was still able to achieve some nice bokeh, but I did have to make sure that I did have some separation distance between my subject and background to achieve this. And it is a real convenient bonus having that front sliding lens cap that I can simply close and open when needed. Okay, so my next question was, what can this lens actually be used for? I think this lens is actually designed specifically for those not wanting a heap of gear to lug around. Whether you're constantly traveling, going out for the day, be it hiking, going to the park with a family, or alternatively, those wanting to keep a stealth-like setup for doing things like street photography. Now, because of how small and lightweight this lens is, it's perfect for just putting in your shirt or jacket pocket. So you don't need large backpacks. And my last question was, who's this lens actually for? Well, if you're one of those people that need lightweight gear for whatever reason, then this chip lens is worth considering. I'm thinking street photographers, travelers, even beginners that don't want to spend a fortune on gear, but want a relatively cheap lens that they can take shots with on their Nikon Z mount cameras. Because beginners also don't want a lens that they need a degree in physics to be able to operate. They want a simple lens that does the job for them. And as they learn more slowly with this lens, they then can advance further to other lenses. Well, I've had a fantastic time in my city here of Brisbane in Queensland, Australia. It's been ages since I've been in here to do a bit of a fun photo walk. Let's head back to the studio and we'll wrap this review up. Whew, what an absolutely stunning day it was in the city today. While I was using this lens on this Z7, there were a couple of little cons that I did pick up. Not having a lens hood did give me some flaring issues with this lens when I pointed it in the direction of the sun. You can see I'm using my hand here to shade the lens to stop the flaring. Also, and I actually don't think the lens was responsible for this, the Z7 in full frame autofocus mode shooting video, it did hunt a bit. You can see from this example here. But in all fairness, the Z7 has always done this for me, even when I'm using native lenses. When I wasn't using that full frame autofocus mode and I used something like single point or wide area small or wide area large, then this lens didn't hunt for focus. Actually, just let me get you something here. There it is. This is my Kodak Instamatic camera. This is the first camera that was ever given to me. In fact, this was the camera that launched my love of photography in the first place. You know, using this Viltrox lens on my Z7 today, it took me back to what it was like when I was using this camera, because this little Kodak camera had a fixed focal length. Whatever you saw through the viewfinder, that's what you got. So I guess what you could do is actually use this AF 28mm F4.5 Z mount lens in the same way. Just throw it on your camera, go out for the day, and just have fun. Well guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the review. Actually, if you want to see more reviews of Viltrox lenses in both full frame and crop sensor, then by all means, go and check out the rest of my channel. Never stop creating. I'll see you next time.